I was talking to people yesterday, and on the topic of kind of single words that described areas where people can be standout performers, high performers, right, in their teams. You know, I texted you a list of 3 words.
Yep. Agency, ownership. Yes. Yeah.
And urgency.
Right?
And
urgency. Yeah.
And I actually added another one that I think is really important, and it's awareness. And not, it's kind of a catch-all term, but what I've noticed when you are operating in a corporate environment, you know, you have individuals who either hold certain privileges of influence, or individuals who only like to receive information a certain way. And being aware of those things and navigating around them is critically important to the success of your career. Okay. So you may have someone in the organization that has a lot of pull and influence, even though their specific role isn't like super high in the org structure. And understanding that can be not understanding it can be very detrimental to your career, but understanding it can be very beneficial. And it's not like going around kissing ass or anything, but it's being aware of that dynamic and being able to navigate around it, right?
Yep.
And I think that's
which
really
I did
important.
not do very well because I fucking hated it.
I can imagine.
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't allow myself to do it.
Yes. No, and you know, it's you're not rolling over and being a pushover and that kind of shit, because I don't do that either. But it's knowing how to articulate certain arguments, knowing how to articulate your position.
Yep.
In the frame of how they have influence, and that's really, really important in a corporate environment.
Yes, it is, and it's something I could not achieve.
Yeah, it's tough.
We'll bring that up, and we'll let that be a lesson.
Yes, you know, and then the other piece of it really is, which we've talked about 100 million times, and it's just how do you communicate with different types of people, right? You're talking with execs. You need to be very concise, get to the point. They're very results oriented. And you only bring up the why if they ask, right? Stuff like that. If you're talking to an engineer, you need to dive into the details almost right away, depending on their role as well. And so just being aware of that is really important to be effective. So anyways, that's why I think that was the missing element of the terms that I brought up. There may be more, but I thought those 4 are critically important for anyone to be successful. Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer.
All right, so if I understood Steve correctly, we're going to come into housekeeping just to make sure people know what the hell we are and what we usually do. So we are, the Impactful Engineer Podcast, of course. Steve and I are here today. Our goal is to create an environment for career excellence targeted towards engineering professionals. So by engineers, for engineers. But really for anyone who wants to take these lessons. I mean, it doesn't have to be an engineer. You can send it to another professional. I give you permission. We believe that being open about what we've learned in our own careers will benefit others in their unique journey of engineering. Ultimately, we want people to have fulfilled careers and be inspired to become the best versions of themselves. Pretty good goal, I think.
Absolutely.
I mean, keeps me coming back. Yeah. So what's up, man?
That's right. Yeah. Doing great, man.
How's work?
Yeah, work has been very interesting, fun at times. I got news the other day that I get to participate in some things I don't want to really dive into, but that I'm pretty excited about. So that's cool. And I have a big work trip coming up pretty soon, where I'll be hitting 4 different countries. So that's always fun. And this episode will likely release while I'm there.
I'll take care of it while you're out gallivanting, Steve.
Yep, I know. I'm frolicking around the world and just partying it up, and Jake's grinding away. But yeah, hitting 4 countries, man. This is gonna be fun. Hitting up China, Thailand, Vietnam, and then I'm finally going to go to Japan. Taking some paid time off there, and just gonna cruise the mountains and eat some good food, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Hell yeah, that's gonna be so cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that.
I'm jealous.
Hopefully I'm doing those things when you listen to this.
Yeah, right. I don't have FOMO.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes, but sounds great. Sounds great.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be
No,
just
it's
as
gonna be
happy
great.
here
And
working and hanging out. So
absolutely, man. And I mean, hey, it's just like when you went to what was it, Ireland? Same kind of thing, right? Had a great
there you
time.
go.
It was either Ireland or Scotland. I forget which one it was. But
It was Ireland.
It was
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Ireland,
As soon as I decided that drinking wasn't for me and that I was going to quit forever, then we went to Dublin.
That's
then toured the Guinness factory and all the stuff. And I'm just like, all right, it's cool. Guinness Zero is great. I can.
Hey, you know what?
With
That
the
is
rest
a
of them,
great
it tastes the same.
testament of the discipline.
Yeah. And to this day,
so
I give no cares about having a drink to this day. It's like, fuck that.
Hell yeah, man. I know. And I'm proud of you for it. But
you can handle that. You can handle that side of life. I can't handle it.
Yeah. You know what? I used to not be able to, though. And it took a lot to be able to just be like, you know what? Because I do have drinks when I go overseas, and it's really like the time that I drink more. When I get home, I drink maybe once a month, if that. Sometimes, like I haven't had a drink in 4 weeks, I think 5 weeks. But when I go over there, it's a very socialized, professional work thing that you go out after the work day because you're usually there until 7 o'clock at night, and then you go have dinner at 9 and have drinks with the vendors and suppliers and all that kind of stuff. It's just part of the culture, and so. But it's important to pace yourself and hydrate. Drink a crap ton of tea.
As a good thing you're such a big dude, though, too.
No, I know. It's funny because they always try to get you to go hard and get you inebriated pretty
significantly.
And I'm just like, guys, if you only knew my early days in college. So it's never a problem for me. But yeah, it's fun. So a little housekeeping, I guess. I don't even have notes up here. We do have a few episode types. First off is Jake and I. We get on the horn here and we bring up a topic or a couple topics that we feel that are going to be super impactful for your career. And we chat about them and hopefully give you some actionable tips to take the next step forward. Often, sometimes not so often, we will have solo episodes. And that is about 5 to 10 minutes of us just getting on. We have an idea top of mind. We're like, hey, people need to hear this, or we really want to get it off our chest, and we're just going to make you hear it. And we're usually a little more passionate about this topic, and we just lay it out, and hopefully you take a lot of value out of it, and you can take some of that and apply it to your career right away. And I think probably our favorite type of episode, it is also a long format, is when we have awesome guests join us. And we get an insight into their mindsets and their accomplishments and like what they're doing, and especially their perspective on how you can grow your career. And I really, really enjoy those. We had a good string of 3 or 4 in a row that we recorded recently. All of them were awesome, and I think there's a really good one coming out this next Monday, which obviously by the time this comes out will be a couple Mondays ago, but look for those. They're about an hour long, and you will have a ton of value out of those. So those are our 3 main types of episodes. And then once in a while, we will kind of just mix it up and just have a random style episode, which is usually just me and Jake goofing off and being idiots.
Yeah, because realistically, we can do whatever we want, right?
Yeah, it is our show, so...
All right. Today, I think we want to just cover what makes an impactful engineer. And I think it's going to be skills, traits, behaviors, whatever. But there's some fundamental things that high performers do to create impact in their careers. And we'll cover that stuff today. Hey, my fellow impactful engineers, if there's one thing that you could do to help out this community, it's to keep listening to the podcast, but also that if you found value in it, to share it with one person, give us a 5-star review, or even leave a text review. It'll only take a few seconds of your time. Find that person that you think could enjoy some of this or learn from it, and pass on the good word. Now back to the show.
Yeah. And if you're not quite sure how important these are, think of it in the negative, right? Take these terms that we're going to talk about, flip the script and think of the negative and say, hey, if I'm doing the complete opposite of these things, will I be successful? And you're going to have a really clear answer to that. So think of that going through. We may even bring that up a little bit throughout this conversation, but I think that's a really powerful way to gut check what we're talking about.
I love the inverted thinking. So yes.
Me too, man.
You want to let's just step right into it. Give us the first trait, whatever behavior. Let us know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we started out talking about awareness, so we can just do a real quick recap of that, and then anything that you want to share on that, because I think I just blabbed myself. Awareness is kind of a term that is thrown all over the place, especially in the personal development world. Self-awareness, know thyself and all that kind of shit. But I think it's awareness is really important in a corporate environment to understanding like your role, other people's roles, how other people can influence not only your career, but just like your projects and organization, etc. And also being quite aware of how different people like to receive information, which is very critical when you're talking to like executives or people who make critical decisions in the organization. If they are trying to make a decision off of the information that you're giving them, if you are rambling on and they can't understand you, how are they supposed to be effective? So it is your obligation to understand how to deliver that information for them to be making those key decisions. Just a quick example of that is being very concise, like telling them. So if you have a project timeline and you're giving an update on your project, you literally could say 3 sentences, right? First sentence would be, here's the delivery dates of the project, and we are delayed or ahead by this much. The reason for that is these key drivers, these driving factors. And the last thing you say is, and we are trying to either correct, pull it in, or maintain this timing by doing this thing. And that's it. That's all you say. And if they want to dive into the reasoning behind anything, they will ask you questions, and you must be prepared for that. But more often than not, they trust your information because you are the technical professional, and they will move on to the next topic. And so that's how they typically like to receive information. What do you think, Jacob?
I think that's a really good one, and I think you covered it well. So I don't really have anything to add to that. Go ahead and do the inverted version of that in your head and see how it plays out. I like to go towards on this topic, the awareness, towards like culture, the relationships you don't know you're managing, but you are nonetheless. And so I think a story will just wrap it up. In my career,
perfect.
People that have been at the company for a long time understand the culture well and have great influence on the company, including who gets to move up and who gets to move where. Okay, they sometimes even set the ceiling, they set the standard, they set the path. They are the linchpin or in the way in the org even for you to pass through, right? So, not all the time, but a lot of the time. And in my experience, that was the case. So for me, being aware of how people operate, how to formulate your follow-ups, feedback, discussions, wants, needs, desires with that specific person is very important. And if you don't jive with the way they like to deliver or receive information, I'm sorry to tell you, but you can reduce the likelihood that they vote in your favor when people are talking about where you're going to go. It's just the truth of the thing. Okay. Human beings, humaning is going to happen. That's just the way it is. So, and they've been there longer than you and they have more say, You can fight that all you want. So what traditionally the advice I give is be self-aware, figure that out, and tailor your communications so that it's in your favor, so that you have an increased likelihood of getting moved up or going where you want to go. I have gotten better over the years with that, but I'm still not great. It's something that I'm working on continually forever. And it did have a material impact on my career. Someone else that could tailor their communication, that could bring a more effective message, that could present in a way that aligned more with leadership at the time, got the green light to move up, to run with more responsibility, to have more freedom. Absolutely they did. If I had tailored my message and was as good as that person at doing it, would it have had an effect? Maybe, maybe not. There's many other variables, but I certainly didn't help my case, and I was certainly talked to a lot about it. A lot of some of the recent breakthroughs I've had in my mindset and thinking came from that friction, which is great too. I'm just saying it has a material effect on your career trajectory. Okay, and that applies to everywhere you go. But I don't have to worry about it so much nowadays. But my solution to that effectively was to just leave and then do my own thing. I only have to get along with myself. So
and your customers,
which is pretty easy. Yeah, but I've found, and I guess this is self-awareness, but I've found that when the mission is the customer above everything else, which it is, it's easier for me to go with the flow and communicate the way they want to be communicated with. Say that however you will, right?
Yeah.
Or think about me however you will. But at least I know that. But as I grow, assuming I grow, hire people, have teams, start managing again, and then which I can do well, but then it's like, okay, executive team, partners that have big influence, that's going to come back. It's going to come back full circle for me. So it's not going to go away. I'll have to get better.
And you're going to have to manage it from
right.
that point, right? So, and if you're asking yourself, well, how do I figure out how these people like to receive communication? My response is ask. Just ask them. I did this just the other day. I just went up and I was like, hey, how do you like to receive a report? And they're like, I like it this way. I'm like, perfect, thank you. And that was it. And and then you can communicate that to whoever else needs to have that information. So just ask them. They will appreciate you thinking about how to be most effective in communicating. So it's being aware of who you are working with and how they like to operate is going to set you up for success. And that's the general overview of that particular topic. So
yeah. I'll throw in a couple more terms because they're everywhere. We can, but curiosity, humility, I think goes hand in hand with this. If you're curious and humble, then the awareness is going to be presented to you quickly and clearly. If everything's your way or the highway, and you don't care how they like to review the report or receive it, you're going to do it the way you do it because it's the way you do it. Then it's going to clash too. So I think it all comes together.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot of
I would
resistance.
just kind of lump those in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next one.
What you got?
What do I got?
Well,
I would say having high agency is another one we can dive into.
Yes.
And you can define that.
And that's a newer term that I've really latched on to because we hear it a lot lately in some of the other podcasts that we listen to. And it's something that I've always known, but it's like, what's a one word term that I can wrap around this concept? And that's what it is. And I think it's incredibly important. Do you want to define it or do you want me to define it?
Well, I'll give because I haven't come up with a definition for it, but I'd give like behaviors that I think are associated with it. Like being able to make decisions with limited data and just move with those decisions and then pivot if you need to. not hiding
Mm-hmm.
behind, I have further questions, I don't have enough info. I think a high agency person is just like, you know what, this is the best we're going to get right now, and we're going to make this decision. So
Yes.
decisiveness, I would say, is a term that fits
Yeah.
underneath agency.
It's autonomy isn't another one, right?
Autonomy,
You,
yeah, is another good one.
yes.
Um, for me, a high agency person seeks out and is proactive the information that they do need. Um,
Yeah.
how they have a sense of urgency behind their
Yeah.
work. What do you got?
Yeah. Yeah. It basically all of those things. Although the urgency is a specific term that we are also going to talk about by itself. But yeah, to me, agency is you are autonomous. You can ask questions, but once you have that answer, you will make decisions based off of that answer from that point moving forward. So a simple example, typically you have different levels of like how much you can spend at a company, right? Like if you have a corporate credit card, and the first time you use it, you're gonna be like, can I buy this $10 sample, that kind of thing. And usually the answer is like, yes, duh. um, but you will get, hey, how much can I spend without really asking? And they'll say $500 or whatever the figure is. From that point moving forward, you should never have to ask if you can buy something if it's under that point. You just buy it because you need to move quickly and make a decision and get that sample in and do what you need with that sample, whether it's testing or whatever, and move the project forward without having to go ask your manager or go ask some accounting person. Like that is just a simple example of someone with agency.
Yeah.
Being able to take risks that are not detrimental or irreversible for the organization to move the project forward is another part of agency. If you think, hey, you know what, this, I'm in product development, so a lot of my examples come from there, but I have this project and I can't wait for testing if I want to get production done in time. And, if I produce the launch quantity of these products and it's going to cost the company $500 to produce these things, why don't I just start production before the testing's done, have it ready to go, and if testing comes back shitty and we have to scrap it, it's $500. That's under my cap that I can spend, so who cares? You know what I mean? So being able to take small risks without having to get approval and stuff like that shows agency.
Yeah, so I heard like doesn't wait for permission to solve obvious problems, right? Doesn't wait for deadlines to
Yep.
start important work. Raise
Mm-hmm.
another one might be raising flags early. So not, raise the flag while it's smoldering, not when it's a dumpster fire. Would be another quality of a high agency person. Getting ahead,
Yeah.
right? Moving, creating momentum, doing the things that unlock your teammates, that help create and maintain the momentum, things like that. You're an accelerant, not you're not smothering the fire. You're accelerating the fire. That kind of
Yeah.
thing. It
And
works,
you can
and you're
just
gonna pour
make
some
decisions on your
gasoline
own.
on it. You're like, this is a good one. We're gonna
Yeah.
accelerate this. Yeah. An example from my neck of the woods. There's just, well, I guess it's with everybody. There's just repeatable things that you've seen happen in the past, and certainly you should not be allowing those things slow your project down. You know they keep coming, right? And as a career person, showing high agency does look like, hey, lessons learned from our past 3 projects we've done, is that this specific action at this time is going to clear the runway for us to just land this plane nice and smooth, whatever it is, right? A design crunch, a BIM problem, a question we didn't know to ask, an unknown, like we've learned all these things. So a high agency person, no matter what seat they're in, will bring it up and say, hey, remember last time how this happened? Let's get ahead of that by asking some questions and solve this thing. Proactiveness, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of this blends over into urgency, which is like almost a subterm of agency, but I think we need to talk about it specifically because urgency is a term that is used all the time as far in the conversations of high performance individuals that I've had in my career. If someone doesn't have urgency, they're usually going to be a cog in the system, but they're never going to be leading the system. They're never going to be the person who is the go-to problem solver, right? So yeah, so let's dive into the subterm of urgency, and really it's like what you've already mentioned. It's proactiveness. It is not waiting to do something if it can be done now. Now, it doesn't mean you have to drop other high priority things and delay other projects to get this one little minute thing done right away because you know you can do it right now. You have to prioritize effectively also, but it doesn't mean like, hey, I have this task and it takes me 5 minutes, but I have these 20,000 other things to do, and I won't be able to do it until 4 weeks from now. Well, if it's a 5-minute task, I think you can spread apart a couple of your tasks that you're about to do and shove in a 5-minute allotment of time and just get it done quickly, even if it doesn't need to be done right away. Because it's one less thing you have to worry about. And that might be a precursor of another thing that needs to be done that can't be started until it's ready to go.
Yep.
So,
and it'll just keep backing you up. And then all of a sudden you've forgotten about all these little things that you're putting off because there wasn't the urgency there. And then it's become a much bigger thing.
Yeah, it is responding in a timely manner, right? This is we've talked about this a lot on the show.
I like urgency and communication.
Yes, exactly. And my rule of thumb for my team is if someone emails you and is asking you for something and it's not critically important, I still want you to respond to them within 24 hours. And even if you don't have an answer for them, respond and say, hey, I don't have an answer. I will have it by this time. Are you okay with that? Blast it away. And you are letting them know that you received their request and that you are working on it, and they will be okay with waiting, and they will focus on other things. And if they're not, they will let you know, and then you can have that conversation. And then my other general rule of thumb is when you send out something, a request to someone, and you don't hear back within 48 hours, follow up. Call them, walk over to their desk, set up a meeting. Don't just send another follow-up email, but follow up and check in and say, hey, did you get the email? Just checking if it went to a junk box or whatever. Or, hey, do you need anything else from me to solve this problem, et cetera, et cetera. Follow up within 48 hours because that shows urgency, right? You're not going to just blast off an email like, well, it's off my plate. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And then 4 weeks later, your boss is asking you why something's not done. It's like, well, I sent it to Jake, 4 weeks ago and he never got back to me. He's like, well, did you follow up? No.
Leads into the next trait that we're going to talk about after this. I got
absolutely, yes.
But I can see know where it's going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would round out the urgency with having agency without the urgency becomes analysis paralysis. Really.
There you go.
Right. So
I like it.
Yeah, you're not collecting the things urgently to be able to make a decision, so you're just going to be sitting there. And then urgency without agency becomes just chaos, right? You're solving all these things and busy and working, but none of it chunks up to a thing that you make a decision on, right? So I love the agency-urgency conversation.
Mm-hmm.
How about we move into accountability, right? Another word for it's ownership.
Yes.
Ownership of the outcomes, right? So that's the one I was thinking of when they didn't follow up with me. Well, you know what? There's some accountability missing there.
It's your responsibility.
So it's another trait or a set of behaviors as we've learned and I've adopted because I love that.
Me too.
Towards being an impactful engineer. Steve, do you want to just run away with what you think ownership is?
To me, ownership is your responsibility to ensure the task is completed, and that it is completed correctly. And it could be, the task could be a communication. It could be an actual like physical task of something. If what needs to be done needs to get done, and it's your responsibility to ensure that happens. Even if you're not the one doing it, it is your responsibility to make sure it happens. And you don't have to be a manager. You could be an individual contributor, and Bob over here needs to get his report done before his project can move forward, and he's not working on it. It is your responsibility to go over like, hey, have you worked on your report yet? If not, do you need any help with it? Is there something that you're not sure about that to get this done? It is your responsibility to ensure that the ecosystem of your organization is operating smoothly. And it could even be boiled down to, this is one of my favorite things that I see all the time that is an infraction, is if you're in the restroom and there's a paper towel on the floor, pick the fucking thing up and throw it away. That drives me crazy.
Yep.
Just because you didn't drop it on the floor doesn't mean it doesn't need to be picked up and thrown away. So do it.
Yeah.
So
it only builds
complete
towards your
ownership.
skill of accountability and ownership.
Yes.
And that's where I see the benefit from that, which is just how we grew up, is sweep every crumb. If there's water left on the sink after you wash your hands, you fucking you dry it off and you make it look like it was before you got there. If you pee on the seat, you're wiping that down, like whatever, like you're cleaning as you go. Like we were taught that every space you walk into, when you walk away from it, it should look just as good or better as when you showed up. Right. But then like, as we got older, I started going, oh, wow, this is just practice to being, to having ownership of what you do and being accountable. Right. So if you do that with the details of those things, you're going to, and you do it all the time, you're just going to be really good at being accountable and owning things in your work.
Yes.
So I like that. I like that example very much.
Yeah. I mean, you're building the reps in your subconscious, right? If you just purposely always do those kinds of things when it really matters the most, you're going to do it in your career as well. And it's critically important that you have to operate as if someone is always watching, even when other people or where no one is watching, right? So if you're in the bathroom by yourself and there's a paper towel on the floor, pick it up. You could beat the dead horse on this, but that is my general definition of what it means to take ownership. And it's massively important to the success in your career.
Yeah. And I'll give you some behaviors just to kind of highlight. So if you're taking ownership, you're following through without reminders from others, but you're also following through with reminders to others. Okay. And if you do that both ways, everything's covered. If the other person's doing that and operating that way, and you're operating that way, you've got each other covered. Someone who takes ownership admits mistakes early and adjusts the course. No matter who has to be involved, who needs to know of their mistake, they do it quickly and they just admit it. And I'll just add this, they look at mistakes differently. You can really get yourself into a corner if you look at every mistake as this just big thing that's going to be detriment to you if you admit it. And you see it as this huge, you're anxious about it. You're fearful. It's like, dude, just admit stuff, and do it quickly. And just look at mistakes a little differently. I think we did Mistakes Are Okay as episode 30 something. Go listen to that one. It's really good. I would say they don't wait for someone else to chase them, which kind of goes with the following through without reminders. They take client feedback seriously and they apply it very quickly, right? That's someone who owns what they're working on. It doesn't have to be a client either. It can be your peers, colleagues you're working with. The last one I'll highlight is, and it's kind of like a more zoomed out view, but they think about long-term trust, not just the short-term tasks.
Yes.
So and you work on building that trust.
That one up. Yeah. I appreciate you bringing that up because that is a really important one. When people know that you take ownership of not only the projects you're working on, but the value that you bring to the organization, et cetera, they are going to trust or even entrust in you to successfully bring whatever project you're working on to completion. And that is, if you want to move up the ladder, but that is a requirement. If they can't trust you, you're not going to get the good projects, you're not going to get good work, and you're eventually going to be walked out the door, to be honest. But the more trust that you can build in your capability to operate as a high performance individual, the higher you're going to move up. And taking complete ownership of everything that you do and all the projects that you are involved with is going to be massively influential on that.
Ownership is saying this is mine, right? And then if it goes wrong, I'll fix it. And that's just you, right? Like there's operational and business accountability too, but that's not what we're talking about. That would be culture, right? This is just kind of zooming in a little bit.
Yeah, real quick, the thing that I was trying to recall was when you talked about mistakes, and this is a really important one as well, because mistakes should be translated to lessons learned. And when you learn a lesson in your role as an engineer and in other roles, you are now going to be a more effective individual and contributor to the organization. So the more lessons you learn, the more valuable you are going to be in the future, as long as it doesn't bankrupt the company, of course. Because if you make a mistake on a project and they fire you because you made that mistake, they're going to hire someone new who's never made that mistake before. And guess what? They're probably going to make the same damn mistake. So when you make mistakes, you take ownership in it and you say, yep, I screwed up there. This is how I know that I will not make this mistake ever again. Maybe we can put this check in the process to make sure no one else makes that mistake. And let's keep moving forward. And now you just boosted the value of the organization and yourself, etc. And everyone wins in that scenario. So that's what taking ownership in a quote unquote mistake scenario looks like. And you never, ever just flat out blame other people, because even if Jenny makes a mistake and it delayed the project, well, did you help her prevent making that mistake? Did you already know that was a risk and you didn't raise that risk in her awareness? So whose fault is it really, right? So you should take ownership in your involvement in any potential mistakes and risks that are in a project. And that is incredibly important.
Right. Yeah. And if you find yourself thinking, Bob, always does that, and there it went again, you're the problem. For sure. Take some accountability there. It's ownership, right? And since you made it this far, I'll give you a little bonus, something I thought about the mistakes. Okay. Say that you've been at a company or you've been in your career for 5 years and now you're moving to a new company. A common interview question is about past mistakes and how did you fix it? Kind of behavioral things and and you can always come in and give them, hey, I spent the last 5 years learning this, this, and this. And you know how I learned that is by making the mistake. And what mistakes actually are, and this is how I frame them, is lessons learned, just like you said, Steve. And you bringing me in are no longer going to have to pay that debt. It's already been paid with interest. And here we go, right? So you won't have to accrue that. And I think they'll enjoy the way that you're framing that, and they'll see the value in that.
Yeah, and so, as someone as someone who's interviewed hundreds of potential candidates, like the amount of people that actually frame things that way, I can count on my hands. It is so few and far between. So you will stand out by framing past mistakes like that, and you will get at least the full gauntlet of interviews at the very least.
Take it away, Stephen.
Yeah, if you learned something today, and I know you did, please share the show. This is the best way we can bring value to the engineering community. And what that looks like is just saying, hey, check out Jake and Steve on The Impactful Engineer on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Apple Tunes or Apple iTunes, whatever. Or
I love that. Apple Tunes, baby.
Yeah. You can tell I use it, right? Or Spotify, because that's what I use.
Android for life.
So anyways, just share the show. You can send them a link as well. And you get off those platforms, you can just share it directly to them. Whether it's this episode or other episodes, the more we share, the more it grows, the more value that we can bring to our engineering community. Thank you.
And you know that engineers already know everything, Steve. So a great share is like, hey, all the stuff you already know and that you've been teaching me, these guys are laying it out. You were right. Take a listen. They'll love it.
Yeah. Yep.
All
Stroke
right.
that ego.
Grow the show, please.